in this moment, this point in time, we are reshaping the industrial landscape and transforming how humans work. The impact of this moment will change the world. And today, you are part of creating the future. Welcome to LiveWorx. LiveWorx.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Master of Ceremonies for LiveWorx, Mario Armstrong.
LiveWorx 2019! Oh my God, you made it! You made it! Yes, you right there in the front, you made it. Wave. You don't remember me from last year? It's so good to see you. It's so good to see everyone here. Good morning and welcome to the definitive event for digital transformation, none other than LiveWorx 2019. Give yourselves a round of applause. You are here. It's an exciting, exciting time. We have so much to show you, so much to do. My name is Mario Armstrong from the Today Show, and I'm here for the next 3 days with you. I will be your Master of Ceremonies. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm super thrilled to be returning for the third time here in Boston. Thank you so much for having me back. I feel like the Golden State Warriors, like I'm on a three-peat right now. But how many people are here from Canada? Canada, are you in the building? Make some noise, Toronto, Canada, you're in the building. So this is, the most immersive technology event of the year, and I'm so excited to be here. We have over 74 countries represented here at the event, and over 9,500 attendees, both in person and on the live stream. So to all of you on live stream, a big shout out to all of you that are watching live, joining us from all around the world. We really appreciate you, and we can feel your energy, and we know that you're here. Look, I have a quick question for you before we get started. For everybody in the room, how many of you were here last year? Raise your hands. Show of hands. I want to look around. I want to see how many of you were here last year. Wow. Well, that's great. So you understand the value that you get from coming to LiveWorx, for sure. So you've had a taste of what this is all about and what LiveWorx brings to you. But for everyone here today, whether you've been attending LiveWorx for years or you're here for the very first time, you ain't seen nothing yet. You should see the amount of stuff that they've been doing for the past several months behind the scenes that I've been able to see, and the stuff that's going on backstage. What they have planned for you is exciting. LiveWorx 2019 is going to absolutely blow your mind. We have thought leaders from all around the world that are here to share with you their insights and their perspectives on digital transformation. We have over 240 breakout sessions of amazing content. 240! You're gonna have to split up and conquer and divide. We have our Live Talk series featuring 4 industry-leading companies and our pinnacle sponsors, Microsoft, Deloitte Digital, Rockwell Automation, and Accenture. We have demo power hours as well, where you'll have a chance to get hands-on with breakthrough technologies that are really reshaping and defining the industrial landscape. And we have industry meetups. This is the chance where you get to network, meet, and connect with your peers and people that could create new ideas, new opportunities, new chances, exciting problem solving, all kinds of new things that you can come up with when you do that as well. And of course, in Extropolis, we have over 80 exhibitors ready to meet with you in the crown jewel of LiveWorx, Extropolis. It's really so much more has been done to bring together so much for you for this event. Every year, I've been coming for 3 years straight. Every year, it keeps elevating and elevating and elevating, and it's just proof that they know that technology is here, digital transformation is here, and that they are proving to us by what they're putting together how we're taking it to the next level every single time. So, my big question to all of you is, with everything that's going on and everything that's planned, and it's super exciting, how are you gonna keep track of it all? All right, I got an answer for this. The LiveWorx mobile app. How many of you have downloaded the LiveWorx mobile app? If you haven't, pull out your phones now, because we're also going to take a big selfie. We're going to try to take the biggest selfie ever at LiveWorx. But pull out your phones now, go to your app store, download the LiveWorx mobile app, because if you download the app, you're going to be able to see everything that's going on. The agenda, you'll get notifications, you'll be able to take the survey, but you'll also see featured presenters, the schedule. Any updates or changes to things, you'll get notifications with that right away. The maps of where things are located. Even the networking can be done through the app as well. So you want to make sure that you're downloading the LiveWorx 19 app and have that on your phone. And speaking of apps, you know that we're always connected through social, right? So we want the world to know that we are actually here. In fact, check this out. As an added incentive this year to get LiveWorx trending, we wanted to really get trending on social like we do every year, we are giving away free tickets to LiveWorx 2020. Free tickets to LiveWorx 2020. Here's all you have to do, super simple. All you have to do is post on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook using the hashtag LiveWorx, and you'll automatically be entered into the daily raffle. That's it. So just take your phone out, take a picture, shoot a tweet, shoot a short video, show us the behind the scenes, show us that you've met new friends, do whatever you can, post it to hashtag LiveWorx, and you'll be entered into the daily raffle. And be sure and check and track all of our social channels and your inboxes as well, because we will reach out to you directly with the winners tonight and tomorrow night. So be on the lookout for that. Speaking of that, you know I love to take selfies, right? So let's start trying to trend on social right off the bat. Everybody pull out their phones. We're gonna take the biggest selfie ever. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pull out your phone and you're gonna take your phone to try to take a selfie of you, and then I'm gonna go up here and try to take a big selfie of all of us taking a selfie. All right, don't make me look foolish. Please do this. Don't make me look like an idiot. And take the picture, will you, so that we can all post it in hashtag LiveWorx. Now, on the count of 3, we're gonna take the picture, and on the count of 3, I want you to say LiveWorx, not hashtag LiveWorx. Just on the count of 3, say LiveWorx. Okay, you ready? All right, pull your phones up, get them up, get them up, get them up high. Smile. Yeah, you're excited to be here. Okay, here we go. On 3. Wait, I gotta turn it in selfie mode. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow, this is gonna look so cool. Let me see something. Yeah, this is gonna look great. All right, here we go. All right, on 3, you say LiveWorx. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yes, all right, I got it. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Give yourselves a round of applause. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you post it, also tag me. Tag @MarioArmstrong on any of your social channels. Tag @MarioArmstrong. I'll jump in, I'll comment, I'll say nice things about you, I'll make you look great to your family, just whatever. Just tag me and I'll jump in and say what's up. But make sure you hashtag LiveWorx on it, all right? We want to get the event trending for sure. So thank you all for joining us again for this amazing week that we have. And before I get I want to make sure that we know that none of this would be possible without the generous support of all of our sponsors. So can we make sure that we let them know we really appreciate them for everything they do? Let's give them a big round of applause for all the sponsors that are here today. All right, now everybody that's watching online and everybody here, are you guys ready for LiveWorx 19? Are you ready? We're gonna get ready to get down for business. Over the next 3 days, you are going to be immersed in the most cutting edge, disruptive technologies that are taking human capabilities to new heights. You could say that these technologies are giving us all superpowers and creating a renaissance that is fundamentally changing the way we think about things and how we actually think about creation and creating the products that are revolutionizing our world, like right now. So by embracing digital transformation, the things that make us uniquely human, things like our intuition, our creativity, our personality, decision making, all of those things will be much more powerful and more useful than ever in digital transformation. And that is why LiveWorx is really all about the whole idea of opening your mind to the possibilities while staying grounded to reality. I was just having a talk backstage with Jim, and we were talking about how he keeps pushing, Jim Heppelmann, he keeps pushing innovation, he keeps creating, and he keeps problem solving. And when you think big like that, I was telling him about a friend of mine who says, how do you deal with failure? And I said, you can't be afraid of failure. You have to use failure as a force to lean into. You have to understand that you don't fail unless you don't try. You don't fail unless you don't try. You never fail in life. You either learn from something that wasn't the expectation that you planned to meet, or you've actually met that expectation that you were looking for. But if you don't try, you fail. And what we see here at LiveWorx is that they're always trying, they're always pushing, they're always educating, they're always innovating and leading the way and showing us how digital transformation is impacting our lives and our businesses. And with that, I'm super honored to officially open LiveWorx 2019, and to kick things off is our presenting sponsor, PTC. And PTC has been unleashing, industrial innovation with award-winning, market-proven solutions that enable companies like all of yours to differentiate your products and your product line and improve your operational excellence and increase your workforce productivity. And this morning, PTC's president and CEO, he will share his perspective on the convergence of disruptive technologies and how companies must harness that opportunity to drive digital transformation across their enterprise. I've covered a lot of technology on the Today Show. I've been to a lot of events. I've seen a lot of people speak. I'm super excited for this moment right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president and CEO of PTC, Jim Heppelmann.
Well, good morning. I'm so pleased to be here in Boston with all of you for LiveWorx 2019. We have another record-setting audience for what I promise is going to be a high-energy event. Last week when I was preparing, I asked myself, why do so many people come to LiveWorx? And I reflected on the fact that you're actually at work today, but you chose to spend this workday here at LiveWorx rather than back at the office. So then, thinking back to the energy of LiveWorx, it occurred to me that energy, literally, is the capacity to do work. And this high-energy event is about increasing your capacity to do work. Now, you remember that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can change form in order to get work done. So LiveWorx is all about loading you up with new information and new contacts and new experiences, which are all forms of potential energy, so that when you get back to the office later this week, you can transform that potential energy into new and better ways for your company to get work done. Now, I want to talk more about this potential energy, but I want to do it in business terms rather than physics terms. I could go either way. But in business, there's always a lot of work to do, And we basically have 3 levers to get that work done. For a millennia, we've employed people to help us get that work done. Then starting centuries ago, we created machines that we could offload some of that work to, especially the difficult, repetitive, physical work that we really don't want to do anymore. And then decades ago, we created computers to offload tedious mental work that we don't want to do anymore. So computers and machines free us people up so that we can focus our capacity to do work in the areas that people alone can do, like strategizing, planning, innovating, and the like. So every person in this building works for a company that deploys some combination of people, machines, and computers that represent your company's energy or capacity to do work. So LiveWorx is really about increasing our potential energy across these 3 dimensions of physical, digital, and human. The proposition is that if you spend a few days here in Boston, you'll return home with a capacity to get more work done by your employees, your machines, and your computers. Now, business is competitive, so we're always looking for better ways to get work done. And there's a growing awareness that innovation really happens at the intersection of different ideas and forces. That's more true now than ever in the industrial world. When we marry digital with machine, which is what IoT is all about, we get vastly more productive machines thanks to the ability of the digital world to monitor, control, and optimize the work of physical machines. That's what we mean when we talk about smart, connected products. Now, when we marry digital with human, which is what augmented reality or AR is all about, we get vastly more productive workers thanks to the ability of the digital world to monitor, control, and optimize the work of humans. That's what we mean when we talk about smart connected people. Now, when we intersect the big ideas of smart connected people and smart connected products, we get smart connected processes, which unlocks probably the biggest innovations of all. So our goal here at LiveWorx is to fill you up with big ideas about innovation in the digital world that will help you think about better ways to get work done, this potential energy, that you can take back to the office and transform into more capable products, more capable people, more capable processes. This really is what digital transformation should be all about. Now, clearly, I'm not the first person to talk to you about digital transformation, but I aspire today to be the first person who takes this very abstract and ambiguous notion of digital transformation and makes it tangible and actionable by giving you very specific, obvious, and powerful examples that you can understand and then take home and apply in your business across these dimensions of products, people, and processes. So what are the key innovations in the digital world that I'm talking about? So PTC has been pushing the limits for years now in cutting-edge fields like IoT and artificial intelligence or AI, plus computer vision and VR and AR and wearables, and of course generative design and real-time simulation, both enabled by high-performance computing, not to mention cloud and 5G. And of course, all of that stuff is tied together with some critical concepts like digital thread and digital twin. Now, what's probably been surprising to many of you is how important PTC's heritage in CAD and PLM has proven to be in pursuit of our new technology breakthroughs. I know some of you rolled your eyes a few years ago when I first made the argument that IoT is PLM. But the jury's returned, and time has proven me right. So trust me, nobody is going to truly transform an industrial enterprise without CAD and PLM playing a role. CAD and PLM is never going out of style. Now, the arc of the new technologies is intersecting with our heritage because it turns out that technologies like IoT and AI and AR and high-performance computing are transforming CAD and PLM too. So to prove the point regarding the synergy between the old and the new, let me show you a simple but very powerful demonstration where CAD and PLM and AI and AR and IoT all play a role. Hey, Yvonne? So Yvonne's team has been working with customers to pioneer the use of object recognition in a powerful new way. So Yvonne ordered a spare part kit, basically a box of spare parts, and I'm kind of wondering, what is all this stuff? Okay, so by using a Vuforia app, she can simply scan any of the parts on her phone to learn about them. There are no barcodes or markers involved. Her phone simply sees and recognizes each part and tells her about it. Can I try?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I look at this part here, and yeah, what do you know? I can have something in my hand that's physical and digital at the same time. So, pretty cool, huh? Now, thank you, Yvonne. So I want to just for a minute say, like, how did that happen? So thanks to Creo CAD, we know the shape of each part. And our Vuforia AR technology uses a form of AI called deep learning, which trains against CAD models in the cloud to create neural networks that are downloaded to the phone and used by our Vuforia computer vision algorithms. Now, when Yvonne points her phone at a part, the Vuforia app is looking at each frame of the video for any objects it might recognize. And when it does, Vuforia turns to ThingWorx and says, "What can you tell me about this thing I see?" So ThingWorx hunts down all the relevant information about the part, starting with Windchill PLM, but potentially combining information from any IT or OT system. And then it assembles that information and hands it back to Vuforia that augments it onto the view of the actual part. So thank you, Yvonne. Now, imagine how valuable it would be to run technology like this against every part in your PLM database. Then any manufacturing worker or service technician or customer could always know what part they have and all the important detail behind it. That, to me, is just one example of digital's potential to transform our capacity to do work. Now, there's two observations I hope you take from that demo. First, it shows PTC's heritage and our new technology making beautiful music together by enabling a simple approach that can unlock breakthrough outcomes across a lot of different business processes. Second, you saw the concept of what we call the digital thread. A digital thread means the information that was originally created for one purpose, say an engineering prototype, gets reused for many purposes, like manufacturing or service, to increase the speed and the agility of an industrial enterprise. The digital thread weaves its way across the value chain to connect each downstream derivative data set back to its upstream sources so that change propagates correctly to ensure that everybody's working on the right version. There's no way to destroy value faster, to create problems faster, than to use the wrong version of data. The digital thread concept is core to PTC's vision of PLM. Now you can see that our vision for the future deeply leverages our heritage. The natural synergy has created tremendous momentum that's propelled PTC into recognized leadership positions in all of these new high-tech fields. I'd argue that no company is better positioned than PTC, of course with the help of our ecosystem here at LiveWorx, to bring these amazing new technologies to market in the form of solutions that transform the work of an industrial enterprise. Now, no doubt that's a big claim, but I plan to back it up by taking you on a tour and showing you a series of powerful, real-world customer solutions utilizing these technologies. So if you're ready, let's get started showing you our vision for how industrial companies can leverage technology to transform their products, processes, and people. We'll start in engineering, just as PTC itself did 3 decades ago. So just as the world was thinking that CAD and PLM have matured, suddenly wave after wave of new technologies is causing us to rethink many of the core notions of CAD. At PTC, we're excited because we see CAD going through a renaissance period thanks to an onslaught of new technologies. Creo now has an AI-driven generative design engine that generates amazing new design alternatives for you, and real-time simulations that run each time you make a change as you iterate in Creo, and an ability to pull the model out of the CAD environment and augment it into the real world as a hologram that mates against physical parts. And this has the ability to drive highly optimized additive parts that you print and install right into an assembly. Plus, you can stream IoT data into your CAD model to see how different versions would perform against real-world conditions. CAD has become a fertile ground for innovation at PTC once again. So let's take a look at how Volvo Group, a fantastic PTC customer, is tapping into new CAD technologies to enable their journey of digital transformation following the digital thread from engineering to manufacturing.
In the early 1920s, 2 colleagues, an engineer and a businessman, sat down over a cup of coffee to discuss the future. Could they build vehicles in Sweden to withstand the tough conditions? Now, more than 80 years later, our vehicles, motors, and construction equipment move the world. At Volvo Group, we have many home markets and many founders, and we are all part of our proud beginnings. We are working together to become the most desired and successful transport solution provider in the world.
Now, we've partnered with the engineers at Volvo Group to help them completely reimagine some of their designs for the SuperTruck 2 initiative, which is a US Department of Energy competition to create a state-of-the-art tractor-trailer combination. Over 60% of goods in the US are transported by trucks. So each material improvement in fuel economy or payload capacity amounts to millions of gallons of fuel saved every year. So today's goal is to reduce the weight of this engine mount bracket without compromising its performance. Now, this is a large, heavy, complex, and critical part. It's subjected to a lot of loads. So we're going to call on some of this new technology to help us out. When I look in the new Creo toolbox, I see that we could use AI to generate an optimized design. And then we could iterate with real-time simulation to ensure that each subsequent manual change continues to move us in the right direction. And finally, validate the entire system with high-fidelity simulation to ensure that we've balanced the objectives of weight and strength. With PTC's new generative design capabilities, we can evaluate dozens or hundreds of previously impossible design options, including design variants specifically optimized for casting, forging, machining processes, as well as additive manufacturing. So my friend Mark here has been tasked with minimizing the mass of the engine mount without compromising its performance or its reliability or functionality in terms of the overall system. So Mark's in Creo framing up the engine mount concept with the appropriate interfaces and loads and constraints and design envelope to guide the generative design. Now later he can reuse the same setup in Creo to iterate and validate because all of these requirements are being stored in the Creo model. Now Mark can also specify which variations of the generative process should consider. For example, he'd like to understand how the use of different materials and different manufacturing methods would impact the optimal design. When Mark's ready, he submits this setup to the cloud and AI takes over as generative design starts evaluating all of the design considerations, applying various simulations on those models, and ultimately converges on the most optimal options that can satisfy each combination of criteria. So wow, that's amazing. Each dot there represents a different design option. And that's a lot of options. So I see that you're tweaking the criteria there to pare it down to a few radically different design options, the bigger dots, that we're going to pick from. And the one that Mark likes best, the one in the middle there, is almost 50% lighter than the original design. Now, Mark has been handed an excellent design by Creo, and it's going to perform well in terms of modal and stress requirements. So in terms of a perfect world, he'd be done. But this one and done situation is a rarity in the real world. In fact, Mark just learned from his peers that they're processing an engineering change against some adjacent parts, and that change is going to create an interference in his design. So he needs to modify his geometry slightly to accommodate their change. Now, thanks to Creo Simulation Live, as soon as he makes the change, he gets immediate confirmation that he hasn't compromised the design. So always knowing where you stand after each change sure saves a lot of time in the engineering process. Now let's take a quick look at the new engine mount design and see how it'll hold up in the context of the overall powertrain design. So using that engine mount, Mark has installed the engine into the larger powertrain assembly in Creo. Now there's an incredible amount of detail in this model, and it's amazing to me how fast it runs each time Mark makes a change. I remember that it used to take days just waiting in the queue for your turn to get some attention from the simulation department. But none of that overhead applies here. Mark is just iterating like every normal design engineer does every day. The difference is that he gets constant feedback that helps him understand how his design is evolving. Creo Simulation Live represents a profound productivity advantage that gets better designs to market faster. It also takes the pressure off the simulation analysts, who become less inundated with early stage iterations and can focus on the work of validating whole systems using higher fidelity and more in-depth simulation capabilities, the type of work they really were chartered to do in the first place. Now, Creo Simulation Live that we've been looking at is a real breakthrough, but ANSYS has been known for decades for the breadth and depth and accuracy of their full simulation suite. So PTC's next step is to integrate ANSYS's AIM solvers into Creo to reduce the complexity involved with exchanging data between CAD and simulation during the validation phase. So Mark has validated the design, and the results look great. He can move ahead with taking this design into production. This concept of generate, iterate, validate is so powerful, and you won't find it anywhere but in Creo. Now, here's where it gets interesting for wind chill fans. Every new design change, like the one Mark just made to the engine mount, creates another injection of configuration complexity. As we begin to introduce that new design into the super truck, we'll probably consider different variations of it for all the other trucks in the family. But of course, there are all the trucks we previously made that will continue to have the older designs. So just think of all the trucks made over the last decade and all of the parts they each contain, and all of the changes that engineers like Mark are making along the way every day to improve them. Then think of all the customers and their specific needs for different features and options. And then realize that engineering, manufacturing, and service departments all see a very different configuration, even when staring at the very same truck, because they're looking at it from their unique perspective. Engineers are thinking about how the parts work together, while manufacturing is thinking about how to assemble them together, and service is thinking about spare part strategies. Now mix that all together, and you start to realize the tremendous number of configurations that exist over time. A company like Volvo is literally swimming in this complexity. Volvo shared with me that there are 10 to the 80th power number of hypothetically possible configurations of their trucks across all of their product lines. Now that's a number beyond comprehension, and frankly, on a percentage basis, very few of those hypothetical designs will ever exist, but any one of them is legitimate. And who knows which configuration will be ordered next. In 2018, Volvo built nearly 260,000 trucks, and nearly every truck they produced was unique. So let's look at an example here with Moritz about how Creo and Windchill work together at Volvo to empower breakthrough designs while managing configuration complexity across the digital thread. So here at LiveWorx, down below me, we have two truck engines that look similar, but if you look closely, you'd see some differences. For starters, from my perspective, I can see that one is a Volvo engine and the other is a Mack truck engine. But both are made at Volvo's same Volvo engine plant in Hagerstown, Maryland. Now, they share many common components, as Moritz is showing us here, but each engine also has many unique components in order to deliver on the specific needs of their customers and their brands. For example, one can see that the brand on the valve cover is obviously different, as is the turbo and the whole system around that. But it turns out there are more subtle things, like the wire harnesses are all different too. Now, fortunately, Creo and Windchill relish this complexity. Neither product stores static configurations because there simply are too many. Instead, they piece them together dynamically on the fly. Creo wants to assemble parts on the fly, and Windchill loves to calculate the recipes that show how for any requested configuration. So I hope it's becoming clear now the critical role that PLM plays in digital transformation for industrial companies. It is the digital product backbone that understands product configurations across these dimensions of time, customer choice, and business perspective. You won't transform much without accommodating that. Now, many people understand that CAD simply could not work at scale without this capability. But it turns out that IoT and AR need PLM as badly as CAD ever did. How can AR help you service one of these engines if it doesn't understand the difference between them? Or how can we have an accurate digital twin if we don't even know what's in the engine? What I'm telling you is that PLM is more important than ever. In fact, if you're a PLM expert in the audience, and there are many here, you probably should ask for a raise when you get back to the office, because they need you more than ever. And if you're not involved already, you need to get yourself inserted into your company's IoT and AR and digital transformation strategies for them to have any chance to scale into broad use across the enterprise. Now, if that weren't challenging enough, factories add yet another layer of configuration complexity. That complexity comes from variations in equipment, processes, and even suppliers that you'll find in each factory. That variation translates into unique manufacturing processes. For example, if the same product configuration is being made in two factories, you'll end up with different processes. Fortunately, those differences can be managed as just another dimension of configuration management in PLM, and they can be integrated into the digital thread concept so that we can manage change flow down. Let's go down and take a look. So I'm here with Jordan at this assembly and inspection station where she works. Now, using ThingWorx, she's been able to take Moritz's manufacturing process design and feed it into smart work instructions for the specific engine configuration that she's working on. Now, the instructions are smart because they're not only talking to Jordan, they're also talking to the equipment she uses, like this programmable torque driver. So ThingWorx is both programming the tool for each fastener, but also capturing data from each use to feed back into the MES system. Other critical characteristics and KPIs are also being monitored, including, for example, how long steps in the process are taking. Now, if an engineering change from Mark affects any of the configurations she's about to work on, then thanks to the digital thread, the updates automatically flow down to Jordan's smart work instructions to keep them up to date. Now, once the engine's manufactured, we need to inspect it, And the quality inspection is a fairly rigorous task, and it's often reserved for the most experienced technician. Each operator must perform 40 different checks in 8 minutes. And for any discrepancy found, they document the reason code and move on to the next step. So training new operators on these inspection procedures can take nearly 5 weeks, which drives the total cost of quality even higher. So Jordan, it looks like you're finished assembling this engine. Do you mind if we do a quick inspection? Sure. Okay, great. So I'm using just sort of an iPad in a ruggedized case here. And it knows that I'm the inspector. I'm a tough inspector. And so I'm going to hit the scan button. And the first step is it says, please scan the barcode, just so I know what engine you're working on. And now, using the technology we were looking at earlier, it locks in on this engine and says, I see it. This would be a good time to put my reading glasses on, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to say, it says it's serial number 890, whatever. It's a red with a 2-stage turbo. And I'm going to say, let's go to the first step. So it says for the first step, Jim, please walk over here and hold this iPad right about here. And please check that the orientation of the clamps on the turbo is like this. And I'm going to say, check. Yes, it is. Okay. So then for the second step, come over here and check that these cable routing, clips, and zip ties are all in place. Yeah, they look fine as well. I'll check off on that. Okay, it says for the next step, please come around here and check the tolerances for tightening torque on the preheater screws. Okay, and you notice that at any step I can pull up more information if I want to do that. So I'm going to say, okay, that looks fine too. All right, come over here and check that the yellow bar on the main ECUs is closed. Flips back and forth. Yep, that looks closed to me. Okay, and I'm going to say check. And then finally, it says come over here and check that the paint protection caps are in place on the air compressor. And actually, one of them's not in place. It's lying next to the place it's supposed to be. So I'm going to say that is a, sorry, I was supposed to check that that's a problem, but anyway, I checked the wrong button. Live demo. So anyway, you have a minor little problem you're going to have to fix, Jordan. But once again, this is an example where we called on the digital thread that weaves through Creo, which knows the shapes and placements, Windchill that knows the recipe, ThingWorx that collects all that data, and Vuforia that shows it to you, to dynamically configure that quality inspection procedure for this particular engine. Now, it's critical to Volvo that we do it that way because it means they can have one template AR experience that they set up, and that template is now capable of adapting on the fly to supply specific instructions for different engine configurations. Just imagine for a second if we had to author an AR procedure for each hypothetical engine configuration just in case. It would never work. The Volvo story is fascinating, so let me introduce you to 2 Volvo Group employees who live in this world of complexity that I've been showing you. It would be great to hear their thoughts on the digital thread, part of the digital transformation story. So Bertrand, Jeffrey, can you please join me on stage? Great to see you, Bertrand. Jeffrey.
Hello, Jim.
So Bertrand, I've done my best to paint a picture of your world, but it'd be great for the audience to hear your views directly. Can you start by explaining the marketing challenges and kind of the why of why you're investing in this digital thread at the Volvo Group?
Yeah. There are 2 main reasons. The first one is quality, and the other one is cost of diversity. If we look at the first one, quality is part of Volvo Group's DNA since long, and we're investing kind of energy and money here for our customers. That's quite natural. For the second part, the cost of diversity, let me illustrate that with some key figures. So if we compare trucks and cars segments within the automotive industry, and look at the catalog of different parts that can generate product variants, for the cars, it could be 6,000 of those references for 2,000 vehicles produced a day in a plant. For the trucks, it could be up to 20,000 of those references for 100 trucks produced a day in a plant.
No.
Quite a big difference. So we are in a highly customized environment. And the introduction of electromobility will even bring more of those variants before it gets better. So over the years, we have worked and implemented processes, means in our factories in order to manage the complexity. And we think they're going to change, because we are convinced that through a solid and trusted digital thread with consistent data from design to production down to aftermarket, and using AR capabilities, of course, as we've seen right now, that we could enable the operators to receive the right instruction at the right time, matching the right product. And in the meantime, use the powers, the thread, to implement interfaces, data flows, in order to optimize our processes and decrease the cost of diversity.
Okay, so Jeffrey, I met you guys a couple years ago, and we discussed how AR could be used in factories, and it was clear that we had sort of a shared vision. But I remember at the time it sounded like it was going to be hard because of all this diversity. So can you talk a little bit about how PTC technology and the integration of CAD and PLM and IoT and AR has allowed you to achieve this business value?
Yeah, sure. During this one-year project, we have created a successful partnership with PTC to scale up and accelerate our quality control use case. PTC brings first a knowledge and an experience on the CAD and PLM solutions, where we have our data stored, as you showed. But also an expertise on IoT and AR. It has been a differentiation compared to the prototype we did in 2017 that was based on Unity. Unity is a very great tool to create AR experiences, but it requires a huge programming investment when it goes to handle digital continuity and the management of our variant complexity. We worked also on the autonomy of the plant, thanks to ThingWorx, to create and allow the operators having the right interfaces for doing the right job. We also worked on accurate AR capabilities with snapping and tracking to create the best AR experience for the operators and helping them to perform the most complex operations. As a result, this project supports us to go to a 0 ppm target. It's a goal for the Volvo Group. But also the reduction of the cost of diversity, as Bertrand referred earlier. This reduction corresponds to around 1,000 hours of programming and preparing instruction for the operators. But it also allows some flexibility for the plant, because we think that we can decrease from 5 to less than 2 weeks the training time for the quality control operators. So now what we aim really is to go for the implementation phase in 2020.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're talking about aiming for 0 parts per million while saving a bunch of money at the same time, so that's very transformative. You guys are at the cutting edge of industrial innovation. You're doing great work at Volvo Group. I truly appreciate you guys coming here with your story, but of course, bringing some of your very big toys along with to help us really communicate your vision. So thank you, Bertrand and Jeffrey, for joining me here at LiveWorx.
Thanks a lot.
Now, another big digital transformation technology that leverages the digital thread is additive manufacturing. And additive manufacturing, or 3D printing if you prefer, represents one of the biggest digital opportunities of all, because a whole factory can be reduced down to this single machine. That is transformational. So digital designs from CAD, following the digital thread, make it their way into a printer like this EOS metal printer that we have here in our factory. But it's a bit more complicated than that, because this type of high-end machine, it isn't quite as simple as just hitting the print button. These printers have a variety of different setup parameters, and they can use a variety of different metal powders as well. So the recipe for the part design has to include some additional information about how to configure the printer so that you consistently get the same desired outcome with each part you print. Now, these printers are also monitored by IoT sensors and analytics, so at the same time we can record and track the quality and compliance of every part during the print process. Now, whether you're setting up, operating, or maintaining 3D printers or any of the rest of the equipment in a factory, having the right expertise to do it is critical. But there's a big challenge here as we try to scale that, because typically there's just a few experts who know how to do this properly. What we really want and need is a way to solve this problem by capturing a whole inventory of expertise from your expert workers and then having the ability to pass it on to any novice worker, even long after the expert's retired. So this is another key challenge that we've tackled head-on with Vuforia. Last year we showed you a sneak preview of an emerging innovative technology called Waypoint. That technology is now ready for prime time, and it was just recently released as Vuforia Expert Capture. Now, Vuforia Expert Capture enables companies for the first time to easily capture work procedures from the expert's own point of view as they're being done, without any need to bring in extraneous authors or specialists to document the expert work. It's like bottling the expertise of your best expert so that anybody can crack open a bottle anytime they need, even years later. That, to me, is transformational. Now, in this example, the expertise actually came from the supplier of the equipment. In this particular case, it's the printer manufacturer EOS, their employee. We'll take a look at how this expertise was captured as he went through the procedure of calibrating the power output of the laser inside the printer. Now, with Vuforia Expert Capture, there is so little overhead that capturing your expert's knowledge takes little more time than it does to do the work in the first place. Now, our novice operator, Steve here, is going to take us through a few steps in this procedure that we captured to test the laser power and to capture the machine's current state. Now, the HoloLens works great for this, but a head-mounted tablet like this RealWear device can also be used, and phones and tablets are an option too. The best practice for your expert quickly becomes the standard practice for all your workers. And as new and better procedures are pioneered, you can quickly ratchet the whole workforce up to that level as well. The productivity and quality benefits are huge. But we're going to take a bunch of cost out too, because we're talking about flipping on its head the fundamental principles of training and support that we've all relied on for years. With AR, we're going to shift away from in advance and just in case training, which is wasteful and ineffective anyway, to in context and just in time micro courses that tell me just what I need to know right here, right now. This is a great example of digital transformation. I just wish I could get back all that time that I spent in classrooms learning things I never needed anyway. I'd take a very long vacation. Now, from the ability to recognize and provide information about each part in a box of spare parts, to creating that whole Volvo engine AR experience that we showed you for manufacturing work, to capturing and delivering expertise to set up and operate this EOS printer, I trust you can see the power of AR across dozens of use cases in the industrial enterprise. The value proposition is so clear. Any technology that makes workers far more productive and helps them avoid costly mistakes is going to be easy to justify. Vuforia is the world's first enterprise AR suite. It's unmatched in terms of its depth of technology, its breadth of functionality, but also, and this is very important, its connectivity into the digital thread. Enterprises need all of this in order to scale AR into production, which is why Vuforia has become the AR market leader. It's why Vuforia sales have been growing at more than 80% for years now, and why Vuforia this year will already represent about 7% of PTC's software sales. So we've entered an era where smart connected products work with smart connected people in smart connected processes. We have so many opportunities and new choices to optimize how we get work done across the value chain of a smart connected enterprise. PTC has a very strategic partner who shares our vision of the connected enterprise, who believes in the opportunity to expand human possibility, and who understands automation better than just about anyone.
Rockwell Automation, helping the world work better, faster, stronger, to be more connected and more intelligent. Because we know that when we combine the imaginations of people with the power of machines, anything is possible. Together with the world's innovators, makers, and problem solvers, we stand ready to lead the way, because that is where we belong. Rockwell Automation, expanding human possibility.
So please join me in welcoming my partner, the Chairman and CEO of Rockwell Automation, and PTC Director, Blake Moret. Blake.
Hey, Jim.
So Blake, welcome back to LiveWorx, and thanks for joining me here on stage again. Now, I've always loved Rockwell's strategies around the connected enterprise, and I love your new tagline, expanding human possibility. I mean, with such obvious synergy between what Rockwell's thinking and what PTC's thinking, it's probably no big surprise that we partnered in this strategic way about a year ago. Now, a year or so has passed since we announced the intention to align in this way, and there was a lot of work required on both sides to get the partnership off the ground. But here we are, a year later. What can you tell me about the reaction from the market and the customers on the Rockwell side?
Well, Jim, it's been a phenomenal start to what we're doing together. You know, we're already engaged in thousands of customer conversations, so we've got a very full pipeline. That's resulted in dozens of early wins where customers have bet that we can add productivity to their operations. And we see it in places like Ford Motor Company, where they're providing we're providing solutions with the combination of our technology to help save them money and bring their products to market faster. One of the other things that's really interesting is the value that we're finding in our own operations as we're applying the PTC technology. So it's been a great start.
Okay, so I remember when you and I toured that Ford factory, the great big factory in Detroit area, and I noticed there was a lot of automation gear that didn't have a Rockwell nameplate on it. So how do you feel about that?
I feel good about it. I mean, it's more ways for Rockwell to provide value to these customers with the PTC offering. You know, most automation investments are made today in brownfields. They're not starting from a clean sheet of paper. And so there's a wide variety of intelligent devices in those factories, and they come from different vintages, different epochs, different suppliers, and the ability to simplify the collection of data, to bring it together and to put it into an easy to understand common interface, you know, using ThingWorx and using our analytics is something that our customers have really found value in.
So you're doing quite a few projects then in non-Rockwell environments?
You know, about half of the early wins are actually with the software sitting on top of someone else's automation equipment. Wow. So it's more ways for us to be important to those customers.
Okay, so can we talk about augmented reality? I mean, I know the primary initial focus of our partnership was really IoT and analytics, but you did mention recently there was quite a bit of AR interest. What can you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, by the numbers, about 40% of the wins have included augmented reality, and that's been really a great fortunate surprise for us, and it really fits the theme of combining the technical innovation with the expertise of people. You know, using features like the Vuforia expert capture to help increase the capabilities of humans, it really does expand human possibility, and to show that the most competitive factory factories are those which harness the decision-making and the ingenuity of people with new technological innovation.
Okay, great. So you and I have discussed that what customers a lot of times want at the beginning is analytics, but a common challenge that they run into is they don't have the data to run analytics against. So, I've seen, I'm curious about your thoughts, a lot of times it seems like analytics projects morph into AR projects so that they can get the data to run analytics against.
Yeah, a lot of times the first step is to really light up the factory or the production process to be able to get the data in a secure way with context into a common location, and then to be able to use that to be able to visualize and optimize processes. It's not enough just to be able to sift through large amounts of data. It's really helpful to know where to start to look and then apply the analytics to provide the additional productivity.
Okay, so my perspective is that this partnership's going well, and I'm very pleased with your personal commitment and the commitment of Rockwell behind you, but what do you think? How do you think it's going?
The whole organization is fired up, and I think a lot of that comes from the reaction of customers as they're finding the new ways that they're able to be more productive on top of the base layer of fundamental control and automation. And I'm happy with the way that's going. I'm happy with the way that our sales force is energized. There's lots more for us to do together, but it's off to a great start.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for a great partnership and giving us a chance to work together to show the world the possibilities of the connected enterprise and as well how we can truly expand human possibilities. So thank you, Blake.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Now, Blake and I were talking about how IoT can gather and analyze data to understand if we're having a problem with OEE, and if so, to use analytics to uncover the root cause of the issue so that we can take corrective or preventative action. Let's take a look at how customers actually do that. So Matt here is monitoring some of the equipment we have, and he's noticing that OEE, overall equipment effectiveness, is less than expected. So from the data, we can see that unplanned downtime is the primary reason because it's driving down the equipment availability, which is a key parameter in the OEE calculation. So as Matt drills into the primary cause for that unplanned downtime, it appears to be an issue with a specific piece of equipment, a mixer in this case. And by leveraging machine learning against the vibrational data, he can build a model to predict when this issue will reoccur. And if we know when it's going to reoccur, then we'll intervene and head off the issue. So Matt was using FactoryTalk analytics to slice and dice the data to better understand it, and then use ThingWorx analytics to automatically train and validate a machine learning model, which can proactively alert the operator and initiate a work order for maintenance intervention whenever this type of problem is starting to develop. Now, the digital understanding of how a factory operates, which gives us the ability to drive up efficiency, I think is transformational. So far on our digital transformation tour, we've seen numerous examples of different ways to visualize data with dashboards and with augmented reality. But ideally, there'd be something in between. Because while I love the in-context power of augmented reality, sometimes I'm just not at that physical location, in which case AR basically doesn't apply. Like now, I'm headed down to this factory for a walkthrough, but before I go, I'd like to take a virtual tour to understand what's going on so that I can be more prepared when I get there. Now, this is one of the many use cases for virtual reality where it can play a big role in the industrial enterprise. AR is great, but with VR, I don't need to be in the physical environment to see the data in context. This means I can transcend distance by projecting myself into a distant location without actually traveling anywhere. Or I can transcend time by projecting myself into a situation at a different point in time, like maybe last week. So in that way, VR is like a time machine. Now, many people experience VR on a VR headset, think Google Cardboard or Samsung Gear or something like that. But I'm not personally into gaming, and it's more than sufficient for my purposes to take a virtual tour of the factory on my computer. So here we have a IoT-enabled virtual reality of the tour of the factory that's down here below me. And I can go explore this. And what I see overall, the factory has an OEE at 29%, which isn't that great, and it's 41 points below the threshold I've set. Now I could go down a level and say, tell me about the different pieces of equipment. And now you see, for example, I can see what's going on with the Howden diaphragm, or the EOS 3D printer, or the MagnaMotion, or the Kodian Delta robot. And I can go explore these. I can also drill down to any one of them because we've compartmentalized them in this virtual tour. We know what is the Howden diaphragm, what is the EOS, what is the MagnaMotion, and what is the Kodian robot. And of course, I like to come back up and see the data on them. So if you've ever experienced a virtual tour of a residential home you were thinking about buying, this concept probably feels familiar. Well, it should, because the 3D model of the factory space was captured using that very same technology from our newest partner, Matterport. Matterport is renowned in the real estate market for giving realtors a fast and easy ability to scan a building with cameras to create a VR experience for their customers. We've simply taken that same powerful technology that's affordable and easy to use and brought it into the industrial realm. Everything you see in this virtual tour was captured in less than an hour on Sunday afternoon after we set up this stage area. Let's take a look at how it was done. So probably by now you've realized that if we want to use VR or AR, one of the first things we need is a 3D model of an object like those engines, or of a space like this factory, whatever we're interested in. So a CAD model works great, but in a space like this factory, or any factory or plant in general, it's going to be virtually impossible to find a 3D CAD model, either because it simply never existed, or because it's hopelessly out of date. And creating one is basically out of the question because of the cost and time involved to do so. But as you saw in the video, in a very short amount of time, we were able to capture a 3D spatial model using a simple 360-degree commercial-grade camera. So to capture this space, we just put the camera on this tripod, and we took a picture here and over here, and we hit the upload button, and those 360-degree photos all went up to the cloud, and a few minutes later, the Matterport software handed us back a 3D mesh model with a photographic overlay. We can load that 3D mesh model then, as I did upstairs, into Vuforia, and I was off and running from there, creating a virtual tour. But here's where it gets really interesting. The work we did with Matterport and Vuforia and ThingWorx to create a 3D digital twin of this factory space filled with live data was initially intended to create a VR virtual tour of the factory. But that same work product automatically drives AR experiences as well. Because the underlying 3D model that drove the virtual tour also drives AR, then all of the same real-time markups and dashboards that we created in the VR virtual tour pop up as the operator approaches them in AR. Now, let me help you wrap your mind around spatial AR. When you drive in your car, the traffic and stoplights and traffic signs in general could be thought of as a type of augmented information. They're not really part of the road per se, but they represent important information for the driver that's placed in just the right location in the real world so that you see it at just the right time. Now, when signs are done well, and we have conventions for that, you process and frankly respect their information without even thinking about it. The last time you drove, how many stop signs or traffic lights did you have to process into your driving? Well, almost nobody can remember because it's such a natural way to get information that we don't even have to think about it. We're not distracted by it, but our driving is enhanced dramatically by it. Now, that type of augmented information is accomplished with a lot of expensive steel and manual installation work. Imagine if all the traffic signs were virtual, but placed in the very same locations in the space of the real world. So they're not actually there, but maybe when you put on your smart glasses and you look out through the windshield, you see them as if they were. Maybe they even look identical to the real thing that we know today. So think of the money we could save by virtualizing traffic signs and traffic lights. Well, that's actually not what I'm talking about. What I want to do is do that same thing in the industrial world. I want to make it easy to decorate the industrial world with real-time information that your workers need to be safe and as productive as humanly possible. That would be hugely transformational. Now, in the industrial world as we know it today, we do bring a lot of information into the work environment, but we typically do it using various types of computer screens and monitors. Now, I don't think it would work that well to place computer screens and monitors all over to manage traffic while you drive, and maybe in the end, it's not going to be the ultimate solution in manufacturing either. I trust that you can see that driving live AR and VR experiences from the same digital twin is really going to transform the way we work in factories and plants. Now, it was cool when you see that on a phone, but it's even cooler when you see it done on smart glasses. And we are at the dawn of the era of smart glasses. I was at the Augmented World Expo, which is the big AR, VR trade show out in Silicon Valley a couple weeks ago, and I can tell you the concept of smart glasses is exploding. I also participated in Microsoft's launch of the HoloLens 2, and I have to say I couldn't be more excited about that. HoloLens 2 is the best mixed reality hardware for enterprises, and Vuforia is the best AR software to drive it. So let's take a look at what you can do with the HoloLens 2, when you marry it with Vuforia and ThingWorx, both of which are building on Azure IoT and mixed reality services. There are many important new capabilities of the new HoloLens. It's much more comfortable to wear. The field of view has expanded dramatically, and the ability of the HoloLens to track your hands and even individual fingers opens up a whole new user interaction model for AR experiences. That means we can give you the ability to touch holographic buttons in a fully interactive AR experience that connects to IoT, for example, or allow you to grab and manipulate holographic parts that came from your CAD system. How cool is that? Plus, there are new mixed reality services in Azure, like spatial anchors, that we also support with Vuforia. When I think about Microsoft's strategy, especially Azure, to me it really is the next generation operating system, and it can power a whole new generation of applications and solutions like the types we've been showing you today. Azure provides cloud computing with powerful IoT, cognitive, mixed reality, and many other services built in. But even when starting with the amazing power of Azure, you still need applications and solutions to bring that power to bear in a way that drives digital transformation. Creating these applications and solutions is not for the faint of heart, which is why at PTC it takes 500 software engineers working on ThingWorx and 300 more working on Vuforia, years to build the kind of technology I'm showing you here. Now, sometimes people don't appreciate that. And when customers say, no thanks, we're going to build it ourselves, I roll my eyes, and I remember when customers used to tell me they were building their own CAD system, or building their own PLM system, and sometimes even building their own ERP system. So like I did back then, I say, okay, good luck, and I put a tickler on my calendar to check back in 6 or 12 months when they're a little more grounded in reality and we can have a sensible discussion. PTC brings an immense layer of application and solution value that unlocks the power of Azure to drive digital transformation, and Microsoft appreciates it. That's why just yesterday PTC was named Microsoft's Manufacturing Partner of the Year. We were also named their Mixed Reality Partner of the Year. And we came in second for IoT Partner of the Year, behind one of our pinnacle sponsors here at LiveWorx, who edged us out. So congratulations to Accenture on that one. Now, PTC has a tremendous amount of technology and customer momentum with Microsoft, and we really appreciate the partnership. So thank you, Microsoft, for also being a pinnacle sponsor here at LiveWorx. Now, a great customer that we work together A great customer that Microsoft and PTC worked together with during the HoloLens 2 launch is Howden. And let's give everybody a quick introduction to the Howden company.
Howden is a global engineering business focused on helping our clients improve their everyday processes, from mine ventilation and wastewater treatment to heating and cooling. Our core focus is on providing quality solutions for air and gas handling. And with over a century of experience in doing so, it's no wonder we are renowned for such projects across multiple sectors. We have continually been at the forefront of innovation, constantly improving our products and services according to our customers' needs. Howden has never stood still.
So please join me in welcoming Dr. Maria Wilson from Howden to the stage.
Hi, Jim. Great to be here.
Thank you. So for those of you who haven't met Maria, she is the global leader of data-driven advantage at Howden. Plus, she's a big fan of Vuforia and ThingWorx and Azure and the HoloLens. It might be interesting for people in this audience to know that she also has a PhD in applied computational fluid dynamics. So this is someone with some real firepower. Now, Maria, the demonstration we shared with the audience and also at the HoloLens launch in Barcelona showed a great display of technology innovation around your products. But you and I have had plenty of time to talk, and I know you're driving a much broader digital transformation story. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, Jim. The digital transformation in Howden is an incredible story of evolution on three paths: customer relationships, our own products, and our culture. Howden has been designing rotating equipment for over 165 years. And our products are at the heart of every single air and gas handling application in the world. And today, we're using the most advanced digital technologies to further enhance these products and deliver more customer value than ever before. Take that diaphragm compressor, for example. Howden first invented this type of compression technology some 100 years ago. And through our technical innovation, we're pushing it into a new application at the forefront of renewable energy production. That compressor is being used in hydrogen production for fuel cell electric vehicles. And this application creates new challenges now because that compressor only ever operates on demand. And this adds more stress to the wearing parts and makes maintenance more difficult to schedule.
Okay, so how are you using new technology to overcome these types of challenges so you can create value for your customers?
We enable every one of these products with a digital solution that supports our customers with building an intelligent maintenance strategy. A strategy that doesn't over-maintain the compressors, but also predicts unplanned downtime from happening. A strategy that allows our customers to increase their maintenance intervals and gives them valuable insight into what makes their equipment efficient. And all of that data can be accessed remotely so that there's no requirement for physical presence on site anymore. At the heart of this digital solution is our digital twin strategy, where we're using our own design data to create a digital profile of the compressor that is continuously monitored against the IoT sensor data and delivers a real-time assessment of the compressor's best efficiency point and field. Then, as all of you've just seen, all of this is used with augmented reality. We're using augmented reality as the skin of this digital twin, as the ultimate presentation layer, where we're superimposing digital twin values to the process data and visualize this in the most impactful way possible, overlaid on the physical product. What we're noticing is that augmented reality extends the value of our IoT data. and it changes our customers' experience of owning and operating the Howden equipment.
Okay, that's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey to get to this point?
We chose to remain focused on our core strengths, and we realized really early in our journey of digital transformation that the quickest way to get to our vision was not to get lost in the digital enablement piece. And that's when we decided to focus on building a strong ecosystem of partnerships. Today, we are using ThingWorx, an IoT platform, world-leading IoT platform that further enhances our digital twin strategy with incredibly powerful machine learning algorithms. And all of this is seamlessly built in Microsoft Azure. Our customers in critical industries like oil and gas, power, and environmental are realizing this value of our digital enablement every day, from avoiding unplanned outages of their equipment that would otherwise stop production, to improving the operational efficiency of the equipment, both of which have a substantial economic impact on their operations.
All right, well, that's a great story, and you're a great partner, so thank you, Maria,
Jim.
for joining me
Thank you.
on stage here at LiveWorx. As we heard Maria discuss and saw in the example with Howden, digital twins are digital models that virtually represent their corresponding physical product and process counterparts. This virtual representation serves as an easily accessible proxy for a remote physical product or factory or operational process. The idea is that the digital twin is like a mirror image, so that by checking in on the digital twin, I can get a full in-context awareness of what's going on in the physical world without needing to go there. Now, digital twins can exist at different levels of fidelity, and frankly, many aren't even close to mirror images. Some are as simple as telemetry data shown in a dashboard, for example. Now, there's value in that, and I suppose you could call a dashboard a digital twin, but let's remember that the word twin comes from the human notion of an identical twin. Now, in the human sense, we know that to be identical, twins would need the same DNA, but they'd also need the same life experience. And we capture that concept in the notion of nature versus nurture. Now, back in the industrial world, we can think about it the same way. The best digital twin would have the same DNA and the same life experience as its physical counterpart, the same nature and nurture. Now, for an industrial machine, the nature or DNA came from a PLM system. It is this detailed digital definition that begot the physical product in the first place. Now, the nurture or life experience is what you get from IoT, that telemetry data that comes in from the physical world. And you can use the digital model as a way to interpret the IoT data. And of course, you can apply AI and simulations to help you better understand what the data is telling you. What I think is interesting, and Maria showed it, is that an accurately configured 3D digital twin becomes the bridge from IoT to AR, and it's very easy to cross that bridge. Now, I think this is why the key pillars of PTC strategy, CAD, PLM, IoT, AR, they all fit so well together. And it's why PTC is in such a powerful position to help industrial companies create high-fidelity digital twins as part of their digital transformation strategy. So hopefully I've been able to show you ways in which industrial companies like the Volvo Group and Howden are capitalizing on digital transformation strategies. At PTC, we've been building up to this for a long time. I'd like to take just a moment to reflect on 3 decades of investment and industrial domain expertise to show you the unique set of technology capabilities and the strategic partner ecosystem that we've curated to make this all possible. First, every digital transformation strategy in the industrial world is going to require accurate digital definitions of products. That's why 3D CAD, which is the very foundation of the digital product definition, is more important than ever. And I've shown you that in the real world, product variability is a tremendous challenge brought on by design improvements, customer choice, and perspectives that differ across engineering, manufacturing, and service. CAD simply can't work at scale without PLM. PLM is the basis for the digital thread, which allows bills of material and related information, whether originally created for engineering mock-ups or whatever, to flow down from manufacturing work instructions and service parts catalogs, and you name it, where they can be accurately built on the fly to match specific product configurations. Now, to have a digital twin at any level of fidelity, you need IoT to capture the data from both the physical and digital worlds to construct that digital representation that mirrors what's happening with the specific asset or factory out in the physical world. IoT is the engine driving the digital twin, but it needs PLM as badly as CAD ever did. Finally, to modernize the way humans participate in this connected digital world, you need AR to deliver all the digital information in a more natural way to your workers, and to be able to digitally capture their physical work processes so that they can be reused and analyzed and optimized. Essentially, AR is IoT for people. AR also feeds off the digital thread, meaning it too needs PLM as badly as CAD ever did, and hopefully I showed you that on the engine. So if you want to tackle digital transformation in the industrial world, you're going to need a toolbox containing 3D, configuration management, data orchestration, and user experience and connectivity tools. That's what PTC has been working hard to assemble, and the results coming from customers like Howden and Volvo, I think, speak for themselves. For example, the Volvo story utilized a wide range of PTC's CAD, PLM, IoT, and AR tools. The Howden example is interesting because the base product design for the compressor was already done in SolidWorks. That's no problem. We just picked up that data and used it while applying a wide range of PTC's CAD, PLM, IoT, and AR capabilities to bring that digital twin and AR story to life. So that brings us to the end of the tour, and I hope this is a tour that captured your imagination. I hope you are as excited as I am to use these ideas to transform the very nature of our industrial companies. I hope you'll take home a healthy dose of information and maybe a jolt of excitement as that potential energy that you can use to transform and redefine the nature of work across your company's engineering, manufacturing, customer, and service value chain. I was only able to skip across the top of the waves during this talk, but in the next few days here at LiveWorx, you'll be exposed to a lot more breadth and depth from the track sessions and from the Extropolis demonstrations. So I want to have a special thank you to all the contributors that made this possible, especially our customers, Volvo Group and Howden, who brought their stories and products and people here to Boston to help this tour come to life. And to our partners, Microsoft and Ansys and Rockwell and EOS, whose solutions were featured. And not to mention NVIDIA and Dell EMC, whose high-performance computing products powered many of the demos. And I want to make a special thanks to PTC's amazing CTO, Steve Dertine. He was the novice worker down here. His team, he led this team to curate all these tremendous demonstrations that, made me look so good during this talk. But most importantly, thank all of you for spending your time here at LiveWorx. I do hope you leave here armed with the potential to be the change agents who drive digital transformation across the industrial world. Thank you very much.